Hi, thanks so much for joining me. I'm Danny from The Glittered Rose. You can find me on Instagram and Etsy under the same name. I'm so excited to share with you this card that I've made. It features lots of texture and the colors are pretty. It's got a vintage vibe, which is my cup of tea. And there's lots of different techniques, so I hope that you stick around to check them out. So in the background, I have used Distress Oxide ink pads in peacock feathers, frayed burlap, and uncharted mariner. And I think that those colours just mix so beautifully together. It also features a resist technique using frosted crystal and an Aall Create background stamp, which I think just looks so great. It just adds that extra texture. The butterfly, I've used embossing glaze to add the colour that matches the background, and some scrapbook paper for the rosette. I keep wanting to call it a medallion, but it's a rosette. So if you want to find out how I made this card, please stick around, hit the like button, leave me a message down below about what you think of the card. I love reading your messages. Alright guys, let's get into it. Okay, so I've trimmed down a piece of distress watercolor paper and I'm stamping an All Create background stamp. This has got lots of interesting sort of geometric shapes and some writing, so I think it's not going to be completely obvious what it is, but it'll just add a little bit of texture and interest in the background. My card panel is uh, 4 inches by 5 1/4. So just a little bit under the standard 4 1/4, 5 1/2 A2 size, because I want to have a very thin black border around this card. So I just trim it first, that way I don't need to worry. And what's fantastic is that this All Create stamp is just the right size. There'll be little bit of a border, but because it's a resist technique, it won't show up that much. So I've stamped this a couple of times. I just wanted to get it nice and sticky. And I'm going to throw on some frosted crystal embossing powder and emboss this. So this is a resist technique. So when I go in with the ink colors, um, it it won't pick up the colors there. It'll resist those colors. All right, I'm going to heat emboss this and then I'll be back. Okay, so I'm going to do a technique which is quite quick and easy, but I think it's a fantastic result. So starting off with my darkest color, I'm going in with Uncharted Mariner and just spraying some water onto that mat. You can do it on your glass mat, but sometimes, well, my glass mat really needs a clean, so I thought I'll do it on my non-stick medium mat, and then I think it also beads up better when it's on something like this rather than the glass mat. So you really do want your ink to be beady, um, because the blobs really sort of give it a good look. I also pre-sprayed that piece of card first, and then I'm just going in again. I tend to do a mixture, so I'll do a little bit of a base color, dry it off, and then go in with more bits of the colors over the top. So I really think the trick to this technique is layers. So, um, I think drying it between the layers is also important because you really can see, the different layers and the different textures when it's laid on top. But drying it off is important. If you don't dry them off, the colours do tend to blend a lot more. Okay, so now I'm just going in with some frayed burlap and dipping that in. Adding a bit of water to the cardstock helps too. Just helps move it around a bit. I'll dry this off and then I'll be back. It's already looking really cool, so I'm just scrubbing up some of those colours. I don't mind a little bit of white in the background. I'm not going to try and cover it all up. So the trick is just to dip and have some other layers that aren't dried and then dry the next ones between colours. It's just go with the flow. I think it's looking really cool. I'm going to dry this off and then I might finish there, I think, because I really like the result. Don't think it's showing up on camera, that background stamp, but it's really cool. It's given that resist look. So I'm going to clean all this up and then I'm going to die cut all the bits and pieces for my rosette and then I'll be back. Okay, so I'm making a 3-strip rosette. This is from Tim Holtz's Rosette Vault set. This one isn't perforated like the other ones. So what I do is I fold all the creases one way and then I come back and accordion fold them. I find that's the easiest way because getting sharp folds when you're going back and forth isn't as easy as doing when you do it all one way. Okay, so I've glued my 3 pieces of rosette together. I've glued them on the tabs. And now I'm just folding my rosette inwards. You just sort of push it down into the center and match it up. Over there near my glue gun, I've glued a dot down onto my non-stick mat. And that's a trick that I learnt from Tim Holtz. So then we'll glue the rosette on top of that. So it's sort of fiddly. You've just got to get them sitting right and push it all into the middle. Just sort of hold it there. Sorry, I should have done this more on camera. I didn't realize, but I sort of needed it close so that I could see what I was doing. And then you just pop that onto the glob of glue and that holds it all together. Just try moving this over. So that holds it all together. And that's looking pretty good. I'm happy with that. There's definitely a trick to folding it in the middle, but the more times you do it, the easier it gets. And then you just pop a little bit of glue in the middle. And this is just a piece of watercolor paper that I cut out. There's lots of different middles that you can cut out with the die set. It's a fantastic, fantastic set. All right, that's looking pretty good. I'm happy with that. All the folds look pretty good and it's all pretty even. Sorry, I realize it's a little off camera. There we go. Just grab some of the glue bits out. I'm just using some frayed burlap just to age the edges. And that's looking pretty good. I'm happy with that. I like the colour that I've used. And this is what it's going to look like on the background. And I think that looks pretty nice. I'm really happy with that. All right, now for the center of the rosette, I need to try and work out what to do. I've die cut some butterflies. These are Tim Holtz butterflies. They're they're really gorgeous. There's an outline and then a solid one. So I'm going to use embossing glazes. Unfortunately, I don't have peacock feathers, but I do have uncharted mariner, which is a very similar color. No, I do have salvage patina, which is a similar color to peacock feathers, and I do have the salvage uncharted mariner. Oh, I've confused myself so much. So I've got the two colors, and I'm just using an embossing pen, and I'm going to use it like a stencil. So the bits where it's die cut out, I am going to color that in with the pen, and then pour on the embossing glazes. I think this is a good way to get the colors where I want them without having to color the whole thing. While I'm doing this tracing, I'd really like to welcome all my new subscribers and welcome back to my older subscribers. It's fantastic to have you here. It's really lovely not only to see my numbers grow, but to see the amount of comments and interaction that I'm getting at the moment. I really appreciate everyone. So I made sure I separated the colors. I didn't pour them both on at the same time just because I don't like the idea of having to chuck out mixed colors. So I split them up. All right, I'm going to heat emboss this and then I'll stick on the black layer and then we'll be back. So while I was away, I've sewed around the background and I'm trying to work out what to put behind that butterfly. I feel like it needs something, but I'm not sure what. I wish I had some plain, like a cream button or something. I've tried a heart and a disc, but they didn't look right. I think a button would look really good, but I don't have one. So while I think about it, I'm going to prepare a black card panel and then an A2 card base. And I'll be back when it's all put together. Okay, so to give it that separation between the rosette and the butterfly, I've got some tangled up sewing thread, and that's just going to do what I'm hoping it'll do. So I'm just popping on a dot of hot glue and then sticking that on top of it, and then I'm going to glue the butterfly down and pop it on the card base. I definitely need a new glue gun, so if anyone's got any recommendations for good glue guns, I'd really appreciate it. Just let me know down below what you think's a good one. All right, I'm going to glue all this together and then I'll be back with the finished card. Okay, so I can't forget a little sentiment. That's why I popped the rosette a little bit higher than the middle so that I have room to pop a little sentiment. And I think love you is really sweet, I think. It could be for any occasion. And we're pretty much finished. Here we go. I have to say I'm so happy with the finished product. I love this card. My fingers are proof that I had fun. All right, guys, let me know down below what you think of the card. I just love it. I'm really happy with the end result. That background is just so pretty. Thanks so much for watching till the end. Please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. All right, guys, till next time. See ya.